Hi guys, welcome, and who dat? I'm Joe, and yeah, we're gonna have to cover this thing. No one wants to relive this, but here we go. Our beloved Bless You Boys in black and gold traveled to Atlanta to take on the Falcons. And the division lead was up for grabs, and the Saints fail miserably. Final score Atlanta 24, Saints 15. So this one's pretty frustrating for everybody. When it's all said and done, we lose the division lead. We're still technically tied for first place, but, Atlanta gets the tiebreaker, the half game because of beating us, and also they have a better division record. Saints and Falcons are now 5-6. Saints scored in every quarter. Hey, field goals. Yeah, we were getting in the red zone quite a bit. We spent the majority of the game in Atlanta's side of the field. We had 10 drives, and 8 drives ended up within Atlanta's 35-yard line. Yeah, 10 drives. One of them was a punt. One of them we knelt down to end the game or to end the half. And the other 8 drives, we ended up beyond Atlanta's 35. Getting the red zone 5 times. And we turned the ball over twice. We managed to kick 5 field goals in 6 attempts. And yeah, it was the injury bug caught the Saints here. The Falcons beat us up, basically. We lost quite a few players in this game. Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, Juwan Johnson missed some time but came back. McCoy had to leave the game but came back. Ramczyk left the game but came back. Jamal Williams ended up hurt. Alontae Taylor got hurt. He ended up coming back in the game. And that's a lot of players. In the end, we had our 4th, 5th, and 6th wide receivers out there. And yeah, we were still trying to pass the ball. Game was really close until the 4th quarter. And I think that's where the big letdown happened. The defense allows 10 points. And, the offense struggled. We couldn't score a touchdown. Everyone's complaining about the offense, and for good reason, because Atlanta's not the greatest team. We moved the ball effectively, 444 total yards on offense. We get within Atlanta, and it's inside Atlanta's 35-yard line 8 times. And we come away with 5 field goals. But the ebb and flow of a game. And when it's 14-12, we're about to go in for a touchdown. But Taysom Hill fumbles the ball. He was securing it pretty good. He was going to the ground. It was a great play by the safety, Bates. He punched the ball out. Hey, those things happen. I'm not going to stop giving the ball to Taysom Hill. He fumbles a lot in his career. That's his first fumble of the year, so he didn't do anything wrong. He was going down. It was a great play by the safety. And so Atlanta gets the ball at the 5-yard line. It's the 4th quarter. We shut out Atlanta in the 3rd quarter. And this is the chance for the defense to help the offense. The offense isn't going to be perfect all the time. Instead, the defense allows a 9-play, 95-yard drive that results in a touchdown. Yeah, it's 14-12, and it looks like we're about to go up 19-14. I mean, we got Taysom in the game. We're in the red zone. Seems good to me. I'll do that again. But the defense allowing a 9-play, 95-yard drive after that, that's uncalled for. and they finished with a touchdown. So then all of a sudden it's 21-12. No, I think they scored a touchdown on that drive. 21-12. We scored field goal to make it 21-15. And then they go on a 10-play, 54-yard drive and add a field goal to make it 24-15. Those two drives, we fumble and then allow a 95-yard touchdown drive. Then we kick a field goal, but then they get a 10-play drive, burning that clock off, 54 yards, add a field goal. And of course, the offense sputters at the end. We miss a field goal at the very end. I mean, Taysom Hill scores. Instead of fumbling, we score a touchdown. This game's totally different at that point. We probably win this game. We probably win this game going away. Final score is probably 22-14. It's all said and done. For that fourth quarter. And I'm blaming the entire team. I saw some things from the coaches that were fine. And I saw some play from some of the players that was pretty impressive. Olave, Taysom Hill, besides the fumble. Alvin Kamara had a great day. Derek Carr's numbers were really good, except he couldn't punch the ball in the end zone. And yeah, Carr's not that guy. We know that. Jameis Winston's a better red zone quarterback than Derek Carr, for sure. And Taysom Hill. So why are we putting it all on Derek Carr every time we're in the red zone? I mean, we have an identity and we try to mask it. So Taysom Hill did get his opportunity and he fumbled. But that was one of the only opportunities where Taysom was in the game in the red zone. We were beyond the 35 8 times, and we did not utilize Taysom Hill a lot. The interception that was thrown to make the score 7-3, an interception return for a touchdown, that was a 3rd and 3 play. I think it was from the 7 or something. The 3rd and 3, perfect opportunity for Taysom Hill to go in and run the ball twice, make it 4-down territory. Instead, you're in shotgun on 3rd and 3, and Derek Carr telegraphs his pass. Rashid wasn't open to begin with. Bates obviously saw that from his practice and jumped the route and took it back all the way for a touchdown. That was the biggest play of the game. That was the play that put us behind 7-3 and forced us to play catch up the entire game. So yeah, overall, I want to say everybody sucked. But we'll look at the numbers anyway. On offense, Derek Carr, 24 of 38 for 304 yards, an interception, and a fumble. But A.T. Perry recovered that fumble. And Carr was sacked once. And those numbers, you take away the interception, add a couple of touchdowns, and that's the kind of day you want from your quarterback. Carr threw up what we call hospital balls. He's been doing it a lot. Michael Thomas got hurt on a hospital ball thrown by Carr. And Chris Olave got hurt on a hospital ball. That Carr should have thrown that ball in the end zone. Olave was wide open. You just lead him into the end zone. Can Carr make that throw? I'm pretty sure he can. Instead, he throws up a duck that Olave has to wait for and then try to make a contested catch. He comes up with the catch, but it's out of bounds and gets slammed to the ground. And we saw Johnson leave the game. He was getting beat up because we were finally trying to involve the tight end. And I tell you, if I wasn't feeling bad before from a cold, this game made me sick for sure. Running the ball, Alvin Kamara, 15 carries for 69 yards. He had a 4.6 yard per carry average. We were running the ball. I noticed in the game on first down, we were putting Taysom Hill in. We weren't utilizing him in short yardage situations, but at least we were getting Hill involved. He ended up with 7 carries for 26 yards. That's 3.7 a carry. He had a long of 10, and of course that fumble. Lynn Bowden Jr., once he got involved, was able to take a couple of sweeps, and he had 2 carries for 40 yards. Those are 2 really big plays. Carr scrambled twice for 7 yards, and Jamal Williams had 2 carries for 6 yards. So overall, the Saints carried the ball 28 times for 148 yards. That's an average of 5.3 yards a carry. We were gashing them in the run game, and we were moving the ball pretty effectively. Like I say, I didn't see Taysom Hill have a third down carry in the game unless that fumble came on a third down. No, that was the only time Taysom got involved in the red zone. So, yeah, kudos to the coaching staff for doing some wide receiver sweeps and some crossing routes and getting Taysom Hill involved enough to have 7 carries. But that interception, man, that bothers me. Third and 3. And I'm thinking jumbo package, Taysom Hill. You didn't need jumbo. You had Prentice out there, and we were gashing them with Taysom. Taysom's tough enough to get 3 yards, even if the hole is blocked up. I mean, if Taysom was going to fumble in this game, he should have fumbled in the first quarter when we were up 3-0, and it was 3rd and 3 in the red zone. Yeah, that's the way I feel. To me, that is the reason why Pete Carmichael needs to be fired. Because he doesn't punch anybody with what works. He doesn't punch him. You're going in shotgun on 3rd and 3 in the red zone. You only got about 7-10 yards to work with. And Carr sucks in the red zone. So when it's 3rd and 3 and you're up 3-0, yeah. I hope, despite the $150 million we spent on the quarterback, the coaching staff and the organization understands what Derek Carr is. We would have been just as well off keeping Andy Dalton and paying him $5-6 million instead of $40 million to Carr, who's a car wreck when it comes to the red zone. It seemed like we had cured our red zone blues for a couple of games, and I believe a lot of that has to do with coaching. Yeah, we were successful in the red zones a few games there because Taysom Hill was involved, Alvin Kamara was involved, and probably had a few calls for Derek Carr that were decent. It blows me away. Receiving, Chris Olave had an incredible day, 7 catches, 114 yards. He was targeted 9 times, had 7 catches, but one of those incompletions was that hospital ball. And this happened to Olave his rookie season, where he goes up, catches the ball, and gets slammed to the turf. So this looks like something that's going to happen annually. Probably won't have Olave for at least a game and maybe 2. Taysom Hill had 2 catches for 55 yards on 2 targets. He came up big in the receiving game, came up big in the rushing game, except for the fumble. Alvin Kamara had 4 catches for 50 yards. Kamara was doing exceptional in the passing game. He was targeted 5 times, had 4 catches. Juwan Johnson was targeted 7 times. He had 4 catches for 45 yards. Johnson finally gets involved. He had a big 23-yard play. I just wish that 4 catches on 7 targets. I just wish a couple of those incompletions could have been completed because we needed a couple more plays here in this game on the offense and the defense. Keith Kirkwood had 2 catches for 20 yards on 3 targets. Rashid Shaheed was targeted 5 times. He had 2 catches for 9 yards. And this is becoming a disturbing trend. He obviously hurt himself early in the game. He tried to power through it, but couldn't. I thought it was a hamstring. We're hearing now it might be a thigh injury. And we'll learn about that more at the end of the week. A.T. Perry, who saw a lot of time, only got targeted twice. He caught one ball for 7 yards. He had the fumble recovery of Carr, though, so good job, Rook. There was another play where he thought he was going to get flagged for a false start, and he just stopped his route. And it was a fade route, and Carr threw it, and I have no idea what would have happened if A.T. Perry would have kept running the route. Could have been a touchdown, but I don't like fade routes for this team. As soon as Pete Carmichael does something smart, like use Taysom Hill a couple of times, and then he does something stupid like throw a fade route. Well, A.T. Perry's got size. Those things used to work with Drew Brees because he threw a great fade, and Jimmy Graham and Michael Thomas could come down with it. Marcus Colston, the list of bigs from before. All right, Jamal Williams had 2 catches, 4 yards. Lynn Bowden Jr., despite his 40 yards rushing, was targeted twice and didn't catch a ball. Bowden's a good player. He had a decent game. I just wish he could show more as a receiver, which is what he is. All right, that's the offensive stats. The defensive stats. Carl Granderson had 10 total tackles. Pete Werner had 8 total tackles. Marcus May had 8 tackles and 2 tackles for a loss. Mario Davis had 6 total tackles, as did Alante Taylor and Malcolm Roach, who also had a pass defense. Colin Saunders had 5 total tackles. Paulson Adebo had 4 total tackles. Defensive player of the game, safety Tyrann Mathieu, 4 total tackles, 2 interceptions, quarterback hit. Looks good. And he was on my short list of MVP of the year. He hasn't been putting up those big stats, as that 6, 7 interceptions that make you point at him and say he's definitely a player of the year, but he's been pretty consistent. And now with 3 interceptions, he's proven my point. Hi, Sam. This is Sam. He's a beautiful boy. He's my angel boy. He's a good boy, even though he likes to bite and scratch. I have a lot of cats. If you guys watch my videos, you'll see I have 12 cats. Let's talk about these cats. Brian Bresee, 3 total tackles and another pass defense. Good job, Rook. Jason Pierre-Paul had 2 total tackles. I think he had about 15 or 20 snaps, so he got involved. Zach Bond had 2 total tackles and a tackle for a loss. And Nathan Shepard, J.T. Gray, and Isaac Yadam had 2 tackles each. All right, so basically this game ends, and I believe, because it hit me, and I'm sure it hit a lot of Saints fans, that, yeah, this team isn't going anywhere. This was the loss that made me finally give up and say, okay, maybe winning the division and going to the playoffs and getting our butt kicked isn't the best thing to happen for this team. Maybe we should lose the rest of the games. Maybe we should be fighting for draft picks. This is the loss that finally made me succumb to that train of thought. Everybody's been talking about it. Lots of Saints fans have been saying it. We should just tank. We should just tank. And when this offense gets going and they're playing good, they seem to be competitive. We can put up 24 points. Our defense can allow less than 20 points. Our defense only allows 17 points here. So that interception return for the touchdown, that was the backbreaker for us, and that happened in the first quarter because it made us play catch-up. Every time we kicked a field goal, we were still playing catch-up. I don't mind getting down there and scoring points. if it's just field goals. But the defense is going to have to do something in the fourth quarter. The defense is going to have to win this game if the offense is sputtering. And lately, the defense hasn't been playing all that well. We have these awful quarters, 21 points in the second quarter against the Vikings, 18 points in the fourth quarter against Green Bay. This kind of stuff hurts the team. 10 points allowed in the fourth quarter hurt this team. Yeah, Taysom Hill fumbled. We were going in for a touchdown. That hurts. But Atlanta's at the 5-yard line. You can't get a better situation for the defense. But, of course, it's in the fourth quarter. These old men have been out there all day long. And they grew slow and tired. They couldn't stop the run. Atlanta finishes with 228 rushing yards. The last time we played Atlanta, last year, they had over 200 yards rushing. And we still won that game. We found a way to win it. This team is not very good, but if they find a way to win, it seems like we're pretty competitive through the majority of these games. There are games when we fell behind big and we clawed our way back in it. And there are games where it was back and forth the whole time. I think this team is good enough to compete. We got to fix the same old broken problems. We have to score when we're in the red zone, and the defense has to quit giving up these awful quarters. They had only allowed 7 points through 3 quarters, the defense. So, like I said, they're good. They're really good, and then they lay an egg. 9-play, 95-yard drive. It's almost as if because Taysom fumbled and we couldn't take the lead, we're only down by 2. Taysom fumbles and that deflates the defense? No, at this point, you guys need to step it up. If this team's going to do anything, it's going to have to be the defense. We can't rely on our offense. The Saints were 6 out of 14 on third downs. If we were 6 out of 12, that'd be great. 6 out of 14 isn't horrible, but defensively, we allowed them to convert 4 out of 8 on third downs. That 50% is where you want to be or better, and the defense allowed that. The offense couldn't achieve that. We outgained them 444 yards to 396. This team is supposed to hold teams to under 300 yards. And having them get 228 yards rushing, well, that means then passing they should have had 100 yards, That's what happened last year. And we won the game. The quarterback, Ritter, was running around. He didn't get a lot of yards, but he extended some plays. Penalties, it was pretty even. The Saints had 6 for 50. Atlanta had 5 for 45. The referees made some bad calls on this. A holding call. Actually, by Foster Moreau was pretty questionable, and that we were deep in their end, and that pushed us back, and we ended up having to get a field goal. Dennis Allen made no note of that. He said that penalties killed us once we got in the red zone, but playing Derek Carr and leaning on him when you're in the red zone is a penalty against the damn offensive coordinator. Okay, so Dennis Allen fixed that. There was also a holding call called on Ramczyk, where it was obviously not a hold, but from the ref's perspective, it looked like a hold. Atlanta had some bad calls against them, too. In the red zone, Atlanta was 1 out of 2. And they got in the red zone after driving 9 plays, 95 yards. Jesus. And, of course, famously, the number everyone's going to remember, the Saints were 0 of 5 in the red zone. And, we were in their 35, beyond their 35, 8 times in 10 drives. And turned the ball over twice. 8 times, 5 field goals, 1 missed field goal, and 2 turnovers. Well, kudos to Blake Groupie. 5 out of 6 is over 80-something%, and that's fine for me. If that last miss would have been for the win, we would all hate him. He's not that bad. Overall, the defense allowed lots of yards and ended up holding pretty much. They allow a total of 17 points. So, God, crunch time, ebb and flow, fourth quarter. Do something in the fourth quarter. The offense, just like Atlanta, moves the ball up and down the field, but then we can't find the end zone. We get into the red zone and just die. So that's it. Right now, Atlanta's got a half-game lead on us, and we're going to end up, like we do most years with the Saints, watching those other NFC South games, hoping the Saints can win, and then hoping they will lose. Tampa Bay lost this week, so we still have a game lead on them. And Carolina, hilariously, still has a chance to win the division at 1-9. Oh man, that's embarrassing. 1-10, actually. So yeah, that's it. I'm Joe. I'm not going to talk about this anymore. This was a hard video to get together. The offensive players of the game were Chris Olave, Taysom Hill, and Alvin Kamara, even though Hill fumbled. And defensive players of the game were Carl Granderson and Malcolm Roach. I'll give them kudos to go with Tyrann Mathieu's exceptional day. And that's it. I'm Joe. Subscribe to Rosenfield 10. For more videos like this, I'm going to power through the rest of the season. So I will be doing a preview video of the upcoming game against New Orleans 2.0, which is Detroit. Detroit will be coming into the Dome, where we don't fare very well recently. And I hear a lot of analysts saying that Detroit's going to run away with this thing. Wouldn't it be the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde type of season if we beat Detroit? Well, we'll see. Until then, I will talk to you later. Who dat?